You are now listening to the Molten Fantasy Sports Podcast.
Welcome back to one of the biggest team previews we're going to do. I'm your host, the Supercoach Brain, and I'm joined by season ticket holder of the Brisbane Broncos and Broncos fanatic, Supercoach Matrix. Matty, mate, I'm just going to sit back. You take this one. Run with it.
Oh, mate. You know, Broncos, they're going to finish the top four. I'm going to be flying down to Sydney for that inaugural, grand final. You and me are going to be sitting there. You in your West Tigers jersey. Souths are going to be playing. But you in your West Tigers jersey, me in my Broncos jersey. And, Tony Staggs is going to score his first try of the year in the grand final. I'm excited.
I love it. You've already read my notes, you bastard. Very good, very good. No, mate, I'm excited. I think the Broncos hopefully have an improved year. I actually see them improving a little bit. But, yeah, I suppose there's still a couple of new players that come into this team. But, mate, you want to take that one away? Who are the ins and outs of this lineup?
Yeah, so we've lost Tessie New, which I don't feel too bad about as a fan. And we've lost Tamari Martin, who I think was a big part of last year, slotted in when we needed him. But we've got Reece Walsh, he's coming back home, and we've got Jock Madden as a little bit of insurance for our big guys.
Yeah, mate, I'm shattered about losing Jock Madden as a Tigers fan, personally. I think he has so much potential. He's also dual in Supercoach, which is extremely handy to have at that price. But we'll touch on him, I'm sure, a little bit later.
Yeah, ran into him the other week, actually, and what he said was, he's a better chance of playing in a premiership-winning team, moving from the Tigers to the Broncos. So straight from the horse's mouth.
I can't argue. Honestly, mate, from what people will understand, I'm a very realistic Tigers fan. I'm definitely not biased. If anything, I'm harder on the Tigers than I am any other team. And it's been a rough, 2005 was the best year we had. So it's been a rough 15 years, 17, 18 years. God. Mate, what we'll do is always we'll quickly move through the 1 to 17, predicted 1 to 17, and then we'll talk through the players of interest, Supercoach-wise. Reece Walsh. Number one, great to see him in. Corey Oates and Selwyn Cobbo on the wing, Farnworth and Staggs in the centre. So exactly the same as last year. And the same halves in Ezra Mam and Adam Reynolds. Payne Haas at prop with Tom Flegler. Billy Walters predicted to start at hooker, which is great. And then we've got Capewell and Jordan Ricky in the second row and Patrick Carrigan at lock. And then on the bench, we've got Corey Pace. TC Rabadi is actually this is an outdated list. There's no chance he's on the bench anymore. Yeah, that's probably need to reevaluate.
I did my team sheet say a little bit. I was pretty excited about this one.
Keenan Palacia and Marty Tapau are obviously locked on the bench there, and Tapau's obviously coming into this squad after recently signing with the Broncos, so that's an exciting grab for them. And I'd probably say to replace Rabadi might be Brendan Piakura, maybe. But again, you could do a number of things with that lineup.
Yeah, sorry, mate, you cut out there for a sec. Yeah, no, I definitely agree. I'm excited to see Brendan Piakura if he can get on the bench and have a bit of a run. Everyone was excited, and he was coming in last year. He was very highly owned to start last year. But some of the boys are a bit out of favour, and Kevy's coming down on them. So TC Rabadi out, Piakura in, Tapau in. Yeah, I'm pretty excited.
Very good, mate. Let's move on to the most exciting part, I guess, of the pod, and the guy that you're incredibly excited about that's come across. Mate, who's your boom?
Boom shakalaka!
Yeah, he's back in Australia. Reece Walsh, better service, better team. He wants to be here, and I think you get him at a discount at $550. I think if you can score 52 points on average playing for the Warriors, which I don't see as good of a team as the Broncos, even after I take my Broncos shades off. I can see him popping in. Like, people do forget that the Broncos were like third with 6 or 7 weeks to finish the season. Round 19, I was booking my tickets to Sydney. But yeah, look, Reece Walsh is the move we've made. I see him as an upgrade from Tessie New. I see him as an upgrade from Tameri Martin. And I'm excited to see him.
Yeah, I mean, you talked about his average at the Warriors last year, 52. I was going to say, take in consideration he's not kicking goals this year because obviously Adam Reynolds will have the kicking. But then I remember that the New Zealand Warriors barely scored any points last year, so they wouldn't really be relevant. So we'll move on. Mate, my boom's a little bit of a saucy one. I love a little bit of a hot take.
That's hot.
So I think Katoni Staggs has a big year this year. I'm just going to throw it out there. He played with an injured shoulder all year, and we spoke off air, and you said, everybody that has a bad year, they say they were injured, which honestly, I mean, it's come out and been pretty common knowledge that he was battling through injury for the majority of last year. He had that shoulder injury a lot and has come out and said that basically any time he took a tackle on his inside shoulder, his whole arm would go numb. And imagine playing through that all year. That'd be quite a challenge. So, I mean, we can understand why he wasn't at his best last year. And he still averaged, what was his average last year, Matty? 48.6. And I remember everybody being super disappointed about Katoni Staggs because he wasn't peeling off hundreds left, right and centre, and he wasn't doing what he did the year before that. We know how explosive he can be. We know how good he can be. And if he's playing injured, it's probably a good reason why he wasn't at his best last year.
I think he's a fantastic football player. I do think at times throughout the years he has looked not engaged, just not getting in there, not getting in doing the work. Does the work when it's served up on a platter, and that's why you see him bang out a couple of hundreds in a row. I'm scared. I don't think those hundreds are going to burn me. I started with him last year, had the hundreds and got rid of him. Which was great. He ended up after those hundreds back, and we didn't lose any money. But you get burnt year after year owning Katoni Staggs. I hope he has a good year, and I'm going to be sitting there watching him, and he's a tremendous talent, and I hope he looks engaged, and I hope he does the work. But yeah, all these centre wings for the Broncos are fantastic players. But is there enough points to go around? What do you think?
Yeah. Look, honestly, he's one of those guys that needs to go looking for the ball, and he doesn't. And that's the big issue, I think, with Staggs at the moment, or especially last year. He just sat in his wing. Just sat there. And he's like, I hope the ball comes out this way.
And you're putting that as your boom?
Can you imagine? Yeah, I'm putting that as my boom because I think he's going to play differently this year. I think healthy Staggs will go looking for the ball more. I think if he's injured and he's carrying an injury, he's probably going to not look for the ball as much. I think it's going to be in his head.
Yep.
So I feel like he's going to have a different mentality this year. If he's fit and he's healthy and he's feeling good, he's going to want to go and find more ball. I mean, let's compare him to Joey Manu. The bloke will run over the left wing to grab the ball. He doesn't care. He wants to get involved. He'll make himself involved in the game, whereas Staggs basically kept to himself out in that right centre position. So I'm hoping that he's watched a little bit of Manu and he's watched a little bit of those guys playing at right centre, those elite guys, and he gets himself involved a bit more this year.
I hope he comes back healthy because we do need to remember that he's only 24.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I think everybody thinks that he's been around forever, but yeah, he's still a young pup.
Yeah, well, he's been in the Broncos for 5 years, but yeah, only 24. He's probably a bit of a veteran having a look at some of these guys outside of, Adam Reynolds. But yeah, let's see how he goes. I hope I'm proven wrong. I won't be starting with Katoni Staggs.
Fair shout. A guy that you initially were starting with, I remember we spoke about him in your team picker, but I think since then you're a little bit off him, mate, and you've got him down as a smoky.
Yeah, what worries me is the signing of Marty Tapau. Thomas Flegler was a guy that I had in my team, and I think at $479K with Payne Haas in the headspace, we assume that he's in, to no fault of his own. Will start and will be needed. He, much like blokes like TPJ, needs to stay out of the judiciary, and I can see him being a great ad. But I've started to hear rumours of him going south, going to play for Manly. Maybe we give Marty Tapau the start. There's just that doubt that's been thrown in my mind, and until proven for a few weeks, I'll be staying clear now. And I suppose that's why we do these shows. Like, that was 2 weeks ago that we did the team picker. And I was high on him. I'm still high on him. I love watching him play. I love his aggression. The judiciary does not.
Yeah, normally that's the way that it goes. Anybody who gets a little bit aggressive, they're not a huge fan, which, look, fair enough. We've got enough injury in our game. We don't need any more of it. Mate, the bloke average is 45.6.
It's definitely a no for me, dog.
But that's why he's a smoky, right?
Exactly.
He's got the upside. He does have the
you
just
upside,
don't know what's going to happen. Another guy that's got the upside is Kurt Capel. You might disagree, but I feel like when you've got a state of origin standard second rower in your team, they should be demanding more ball. And he is a good hole runner. He loves a try. The thing is, he's had a year under his belt to connect with Ezra Mam. This is Ezra Mam's second year now. It was his rookie year. You've got to give him a bit of a break if he's not finding those connections, finding those that cohesion with his backline. I feel like they probably could both take a step up this year off the back of Mam in his second year having a bit more experience under his belt. We do know that sophomore syndrome is a real thing. That the second year syndrome, we just don't know how Mam's going to go. Is he going to regress after the amazing start that he had? We're a little bit unsure, which is why I've got Capewell as a smoky. But 48 average last year, really. I feel like he could probably exceed 55, and there's a little bit of uptick there if you wanted to take the risk on someone who can score a try a game if they really on a roll.
Yeah, look, I'll be steering clear. I like Kurt Capewell. He's good to watch outside of Ezra Mam. Ezra Mam appreciation. How good was he last year? Especially as a cheapie in Supercoach. I was...
Do you remember when Ezra Mam played his first game and he had an absolute Reggie Tinker? And we were talking about how he's not going to go anywhere. And we were very, very quickly proven wrong. He had a cracker of a year. Pretty kind of arrogant from us, really, to give one game as a 19-year-old and expect him to be the next bloody Joey Johns, isn't it?
Yeah. I think he was just such a good news story. I think I saw in Indigenous round the year before he was the dancer before the game, and then this year coming in he was the starting 5'8". Yeah, good story.
Awesome story. Happy days, mate. I hope he takes a step up because that probably means that Kurt Capel on the left edge will do so. And then I'll be proven right and I can put a little tick in the column.
Yeah, and it might take a little bit away from, if he can step up, might take a little bit away from Adam Reynolds and, him having to do too much at his age, being at an older 32. I think Adam Reynolds had a good year last year. But the second that Adam Reynolds misses a few weeks, we went to water. And I think that's why we brought in a guy like Jock Madden from the Tigers.
Yeah, I like it, mate. That's a really good segue into your next little, take.
That's hot.
Yeah, look, I just think that, Adam Reynolds was good. He's a bit older. Maybe he gets rested if we're in a really good position. And Jock Madden's going to get some playing time. He's a dual position player that will have a lot of opportunity to make money. Look at the way that Ezra rose into this team last year. Bring a Jock Madden in for $300K. We know he's a quality footballer. You don't just go and sign a guy like that. Obviously, the Tigers had to save some money. They spent a lot of money throughout the year, and they're going to hope that there's no injuries because I think Jock Madden was a big loss for you guys.
I agree with you, man. Like I said at the start, he's a quality player. I think he's got so much potential in this league. I think he's going to be one of those guys that is going to be a mainstay in a squad wherever he ends up, wherever he gets a main number 7 jersey. I think he's going to do really well. Which is disappointing as a Tigers fan. But in saying that, I'm optimistic about this year with all of the signings that we've made. And if that means that we had to let go of Madden to sign an Api Coruscant or to sign a Isaiah Papali'i or to sign a David Clemmer or there's John Bateman, there's so many good options that we've brought in now. So I'm pretty excited. So you got to, give away some good stuff to get even better.
It's turned into a bit of bands talking about the Broncos and the Tigers, hasn't it?
Mate, you know how much I want to talk about the Tigers pod? I want to talk about it in the podcast, and we've left them to last because we stunk it up last year, and we're doing it in ladder order, and it's eating your life.
I didn't care if you did it in ladder order or you did it in alphabetical order. We're still talking about you last or second last.
Yeah, that's true. We should have done reverse, shouldn't we? Should have gone wooden spoon first. No, fair enough. No, I like Jock Madden. It's a good shout. Mate, what about your bust? Because you've been pretty hard on a lot of players in this lineup.
Yeah, and it's not to do with the way that they play football. I just think that every centre wing starting for the Broncos, there can't be enough points to go around, especially if we slide to that. Everyone expects us to be 8th to 12th. There's not going to be enough tries scored. they're all at a mid-premium price. You don't have any cheapies. You don't have anyone new coming in. There's no question marks, which is good. But we just still don't know whether they're a team that are going to put 5 tries together on a weekly basis. I won't be able to hold any centre wings from the Broncos in my team for that reason. Like paying $600K for some of those blokes. Like, yeah, you can, get on Katoni Staggs. He's the cheapest of them. And arguably the second most talented. But yeah, I just can't hold 500K on a hope and a prayer when it comes to Supercoach. I'll hold 500K. I'll go put $10 on Sportsbet on Corey Oates' first try scorer every game of the year and end up in front. But yeah, no, not for Supercoach. I care too much. That's just money.
That's right. When you look at your wingers and centers, you get 56, 56, 48, 55, like all mid-range. You'd probably want more from a premium center winger at price between 511 and 596,000. It's just awkward pricing, awkward averages from last season.
I don't see any of them averaging 40 throughout the year, but I don't see any of them averaging 80. And I'm going to be looking for that upside. If Reece Walsh goes down and, they select Hervey or Selwyn to play fullback, let's get on board. But yeah, for now, it's no.
Yeah. Before we wrap up, I want to talk about my bust because it's a little saucy. Mate, it might hurt your feelings a little bit. I'm not quite sure how you feel about Adam Reynolds, but I'm not that high on him this year.
Yeah, right.
I actually think he's going to have a bit of a rough year. Now, I love Adam Reynolds as a player. I love him as a player. But when we look at his stats, he averaged 58 in 2021, 59 in 2020, 55 in 2019. So he hasn't averaged over 60, ready? Hold on to that Broncos hat, since 2014. It's been nearly 9 seasons since he's averaged over 60 in Supercoach. So for me, my hot take is that I'm going to say that he averages less than 55 for the year. I know a lot of this is dependent on whether he's healthy or not. I know that he's very injury prone. He's had a few rough injuries in the past. He's got that lingering groin problem, I think, from last season that saw him missing a few games, which is a pretty big concern. Obviously, as you get older, those injuries definitely get exaggerated. So, look, I hope he has a great year. I love him as a player, but when you look at the numbers and you look at the stats, it's really hard to believe that he's going to progress.
Yeah, I don't know. It's super hard, and I've listened to some team preview podcasts, and everybody is so down on the Broncos. But people forget we were third with 7 weeks to go, and Adam Reynolds was steering the ship. He doesn't have the most Supercoach-friendly game, so he's not a guy you should be looking at anyway. But, if he gets out there and can be healthy all year, the Broncos are going to be up.
He went on a run where he got a couple of tons and people started to look at him last year.
Yeah.
Through the middle of the season. Were you one of them?
Yeah. No. I love watching him play.
I personally was.
I think one of the best things about watching him play is the way that he steers everybody around the park and makes everybody better around him, which doesn't translate to Supercoach points. So.
Yeah, that's right. And look, based on what we just spoke about with his stats, I mean, usually a half that is Supercoach relevant would probably see a 60 average more often than not. And it's a shame. I remember back when, a little plug for myself here, back when I came 17th in NRL Fantasy in 2015. Did you know that?
No, you haven't told me for about 3 hours.
No, but when I did well that year, he was the mainstay in my team. He was an absolute NRL Fantasy gun because obviously NRL Fantasy is a little bit different in the way that it's scored. They take into consideration kick meters and the guy just kicks for fun. So, yeah, he was quality. He was probably one of the best halves in the game back then in 2015 in NRL Fantasy. So, little shout out to Adam Reynolds, big fan. But just I don't think he's going to be able to hold it up this year. That's all.
Yep.
So, mate, that wraps us up. Mate, your beloved Broncos, done and dusted.
I'll be there watching them. I'll be there flying the flag.
And I think from what we're organising, mate, we've got a big molten group magic round coming up this year, which is going to be exciting.
It's going to be wild. Maybe we can do a live pod.
Yeah, we might even have to. I think that could be a good idea. I like it. Get some of the boys in that are passionate NRL fans and AFL fans and see what their thoughts are, because a few of them just live in Melbourne and don't know much about NRL and they just love the Storm. So we'll have to get a few of them boys on and do a little bit of a Storm pod.
Yeah. But to be honest, they still think Cameron Smith's in the team. So
Good shout. Mate, thanks for hopping on. As always, where can we find you if we want to have a chat?
At SD_metrics on Twitter. Where can we find you, Braino?
Yeah, same place, mate, on Twitter at Brain_FS or Supercoach Brain, and you'll find me. Thanks, guys. Thanks for listening. Make sure to subscribe. Make sure to like. Make sure to follow us on all the podcast platforms. We're on all of them. And obviously, if you like the content, subscribe on YouTube, and you'll get that in a little notification on your phone whenever we put a post up, which is ideally, we're trying to get them out every day at the moment now that we bash these teams out, mate. So thanks for hopping on. See you guys next time for the next team preview.
Thank you.
Cheers.